Welcome to Bushcraft Survival. I am heading off for an overnight, and as you can see behind me, I've just come up from the beach. I found this nice little creek that actually dumps out onto the creek there. Oh, sorry, onto the beach, not the creek. The creek dumps onto the beach. But looking around, you can't really tell the angle, but up there is sort of my uphill to go to, and somewhere up there I'm going to attempt to find a campsite. The wind's coming in sort of from a northeasterly, almost easterly direction across the ocean, so at the moment it's pushing up this gully all right, so I should be able to find a reasonably sheltered area for tonight. I have no idea what's up here. I'm rather well stocked. I have the fishing rod, so if I can find a suitable place that's not too far from the water, and I can get a decent path back down, then I'll probably go down for a bit of a fish just on evening, see if I can't catch something. But for now, onward and upward. I'm going to follow this creek up, and my aim will be to set my camp up not too far from this creek, because although it's not much, there is running water in this creek, so I have a fresh water supply, so that means I don't need to carry as much stuff or worry about having to fill up here and carry water inland. So that's my plan. We will I will update you shortly. It doesn't look real steep there, but right up the top of the escarpment, and managed to find what looks like a whole heap of very well used game trails. So from a survival point of view and Mozzie point of view, it looks like there's quite a bit of wildlife getting through this area, which is good to see, because if you notice all around me, it got very burnt here about 12 months ago in the fires, 18 months ago. So yeah, it's good to see that there's a lot of wildlife activity back in the bush. But as you can see around me, this is near jungle, and a lot of that is 6 to 8 foot deep, or high, that I've got to try and cut and work my way through if I want to get up onto that escarpment, which I did to see what was up there. And it turns out what is up there is a whole lot more of the same. It doesn't clear off. I mean, eventually it will if I go far enough inland, but my plan was to be close enough to walk back down to the water and have a fish. So I've come basically all the way back down to where I shot the last piece of video, which has taken me a good 45 minute to an hour round trip to come back to where I was, just because it was the most suitable. Like with anything to do with bushcraft, even in a survival type scenario, if it's long-term survival, you want to leave yourself enough daylight to be able to have a scout around, pick a location, and then you can decide whether you do or don't want to come back to that place to set up camp, or if you have to backtrack, or if you have to find a new place, you've got enough daylight. So keep that in mind when you're out next. Don't just go, yep, that's where I'm going, and then bind yourself to it, and then you get there and find out that it's no good, but you're out of time. Here is where I'm going to set up. I've just cleared a bit of this vine and rubbish undergrowth and exposed this nice big rock here. So what I'm going to do, just down under some of this cutting mess here, is a little depression. You see the sand's gathered in there when they had the last rain. That's actually going to work really well for me to have a little cooking fire on. I'm surrounded by rock. The water behind it there will aid me in putting the fire out when I'm done. And then just up here is a nice tree. And then to my other side is another nice tree. And these are going to be my hammock posts. And just like that, I am set up. We have dinner. Lovely little trevally. Just on a soft plastic off the rocks here. That should come out fairly easy. Stop kicking, little fella. You're all going to be dinner. So, this leads me to another point. That being that if you want to come out, do a bit of survival, bushcrafting, have a go at fishing, until you're proficient using a rod and reel, and this little Shimano setup here is, I don't know, it's a little reel. Don't even know where I got that one. Had it for a while. Anyway, it's, you know, the rod's about 80 bucks or something, a telescopic rod. Cheap little reel I've got. I've been watching YouTube to learn how best to fish soft plastics. That was second cast off the rocks here in the ocean and picked up a little trevally. So I'm going to have another little go. And if I can get 2 of them, that's well and truly my dinner for the evening. So there you go. Learn to use one of these, learn how to fish it, and then if you are in a survival situation where all you've got is a bit of survivor cord, 1 strand of fishing line, you know, a soft plastic somewhere in your kit, you know the action that you need to create. You know what the soft plastic needs to swim like in the water in order to catch fish, and then you can come up with a way to, you know, mimic and replicate that, and hopefully you can then catch fish. But if you're relying on having never fished, think you're going to throw a soft plastic in the water and the fish will just bite it, then you're probably going to go very hungry. So from here, we go up here, across, up, and up to that top ledge there. This one there. So a bit of a climb. Anyway, on to it before it gets dark. So once we catch our little fish, we want to take him for a walk back up to our camp, which for me is back up that valley. I don't really want to hold on to slimy, slippery fish the whole way up there. Because I've got that running creek water up there, I am actually going to scale it and gut it up there. Rather than doing it here, trying to rinse it out, I'll probably end up getting my boots wet. A bit easier up there. So, how to carry it. Go and grab yourself a stick. It has a Y section at the end. We're basically going to use the Y section as a stopper. Now what we're going to do, I'll try and do this one-handed, sharpen a point at one end. You're going to go in there through the gills, find the mouth. Once you've fed that bit through, you pretty much just let him slide down and it'll catch on the gills there. And we now have ourselves a lovely little fish carrying device. It's our fire loading kit in here, a bit of wax cotton. They're a pre-made fire starter that I've picked up. Just some plain cotton as cotton balls, and also some makeup pads. Either of those broken up will give you a good point to get your striker onto. I'm just going to push the striker off the ferro rod. There we go. I can actually throw it straight would be right. The little cooking fire is actually going well, but the unfortunate part is all of the smoke is going straight under my tarp into all of my bedding, all my gear. So sitting over on that side, I'm just getting loaded in smoke, and I've got this spot to stand here, which led me to decide I'm going to put the fire out because I've just cooked my meat that I brought, which is in that pot, so that'll be dinner. But I'm going to try something. So I've just cooked this fire up on a rock. So I'm going to assume there's going to be enough heat to hot rock my fish. So I'm going to give that a go, and we'll see how it turns out. Alright, so I've got a little area just here of water. So I'm going to take my fire, I'm going to push my fire into the water. I've got a log there to stop it going any further. I'm going to push all my fire into the water. Now, what I should have is a spot, apart from the ant running over it, just there, put my fish in. I've got a few coals left around him. I'll just push them up and we'll see. Well, good morning. If you can't tell, I'm in quite a different location at the moment. Had a couple of things happen last night. One being I packed a spare battery for the phone to be able to continue to record. When I went to actually plug that battery into the phone, it turns out that I'd brought two micro USB cables, which are to charge the battery pack, and not a USB-C cable, which I need to go from the battery pack to the phone. So, yes, normally I could have one of each lead. Somewhere I've got mixed up and put two of the same in the case. So, that messed me up. I couldn't recharge the phone, and obviously then couldn't take the videos. Obviously I have limited equipment. By limited I mean I do all my recording on my phone. At some point I'll have to invest in some better gear, but it's what I've got at the moment. So that rendered me cameraless, so there's no more video or photos of last night. And then I got woken up at about 1:30 this morning with some rain, and I'd gone and checked the radar. There wasn't meant to be any rain where I was, and I'm fairly sure we didn't get a lot of rain there. My camp was fine. I would have had no drama staying there. It wasn't an issue of whether I was going to get wet, but the track in and out that I'd taken was a little bit dicey. It was about, in the dry, it's pretty much the limits of where I would want to take my truck. As it sits, general day-to-day use, my truck weighs 5 tonne. And it's 2-wheel drive, not 4-wheel drive. So there's some places I don't want to put 5 tonne of vehicle and get it stuck. That track was one of them. So that in mind, at about 1:30 this morning, I rechecked the radar. I had enough charge on the phone just to check the radar quickly, and it was still saying there was no rain where I was, but it was raining on me. So I didn't want to risk it getting any worse. So I decided to break camp, hike out to the truck, load up and drive back home. Not that I couldn't have stayed there from my sake, my point of view, but I have some family things that I need to do today. I said that I would be somewhere at a certain time today, so I needed to make sure I did that. So yeah, consequently, the being prepared aspect of me took the cautious approach and got out early just to make sure that I didn't get stuck. Because if we had a really heavy drop of rain, there's a good chance it'd take a day or two for the track to dry out, and I would have been stuck there until it was dry. And you're not getting another vehicle in there to pull out a 5-ton vehicle. I would have just had to wait for the dry. So yes, that is what led me to come home the early hours of this morning, and I'm glad I did. I didn't have a point to prove to anyone to have to stay out there and make things a lot more difficult than they needed to be. So all that being said, I'm now back down the beach near home. Just came for a little walk just to chat to you all lovely people, let you know what was going on. As I said in the earlier parts, the walk up that creek and then trying to get up onto that headland was just so dense in the undergrowth and vines, and a heap of kangaroo apple and other things growing up through there, that it was literally machete, bush hook kind of slashing every step. You take another step, you hack your way through and hack your way through. And I got to the ridge hoping it was going to clear out. I was going to camp up on that the escarpment there yesterday, but yeah, it was just too much of a workout to try and get up there, and I would have had to clear a big patch out, continue to hack my way through to try and find some firewood. It's all doable, but it was a lot of push I would have had to clear out just to try and walk through and set a camp up. So rather than hacking the bush to pieces, I just set up back down in that creek, and then obviously the rain shortened the experience up a little bit, but I've got to say I was stoked that I was able to carry my little telescopic fishing rod in and actually catch some dinner. The hot rock didn't work quite as well as I thought. I did have to relight the fire to finish cooking that. If I had the fire going for longer and a bit bigger surface area, the rock would have retained enough heat. It did start to cook it, but it just ran out of heat. So I think the theory's there. I haven't tried doing it like that before. I think the theory's there. I'll probably give it a go another time, a more suitable time. But I reckon that'll about do it for me. So until next time, until I see you at one of our training sessions, or maybe I'll see you out there on a trail somewhere. Have a good one, and see you next time.